And 3, 2, 1.
Hi,
Okay.
Mike.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing really well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing brilliant. Apart from this sunlight annoying me in my eyes, but apart from that, I'm doing great.
I can see it's a nice sunny day today, so that's always good. We've got to appreciate the sunshine, especially when we're in England.
Yeah, yeah. Well, especially the temperature. At least that we're getting the sun. I know we're not getting the heat, but we're getting a little bit of sunlight, so which is great.
Yes, definitely, definitely. So thank you for joining with me today. A very interesting topic to look at, and I think it's quite an important topic. It's about looking at how do we recover after a health trauma. And I suppose that health trauma could be a physical illness like cancer or surgery, but also, any kind of emotional health trauma as well. So it can be injury as well as surgery. So I think it's something sometimes life events. I do believe that life events can happen, and it's about we might not be able to control that life event, but we can control our reaction to that life event, and depending on how we react, determines our outcome. So I really wanted to focus on what tips can we do? What can we do to help us to react in a more positive, productive, and helpful way? So that's where we've called you in with your motivational skills and your expertise to look at that kind of how do we recover from emotional trauma?
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's a few things when it comes to trauma. Uh, it comes back to acceptance, accepting that the situation that we're in. If you can't accept it, then you're not really going to think of solutions, and your state of mind is going to be more in the sense of it's happened and you're dwelling on it. So first of all, you got to really change that state, and go into more possible thinking. Uh, Start looking at like your diet. When I got injured, that's one of the things I did after I got over that emotional trauma of like, I can't believe it happened. And you go through 101 things thinking, if I did this, if I did this, I ever did this. And we've all been guilty of it, where we're always thinking about, maybe if I didn't take that turn, maybe if I didn't take that step, but it's,
What injury did you have?
I've had 2 injuries I have. I snapped my Achilles, and I also ruptured my ACL and meniscus. And the time when I'm going to tell you the story of when I did my Achilles. I was going to fly out the day, 2 days after,
Oh, wow.
and I snapped my Achilles, and I was thinking to myself at the time, and it was due to my car. It was due to my car. I lost my car keys,
Yes.
and I was having a bad day. And we've all been one of those. When you think you're having a bad day, and it
Yes.
couldn't get more worse. That's what
Yeah.
happened to me.
Okay. So you
I lost,
got out of bed the wrong way, basically. That started, and it just
yeah,
rolling. Okay.
yeah. And basically, I lost my car keys and I had to call the AA to get me a new car key. But
Mm.
whilst I was waiting around for them, the car key, I was messing around with one of my other coaches, and I took a step back and snapped my Achilles.
Wow.
And at that time now, what I was upset about the car, I wasn't even bothered about the car because I knew I couldn't even drive the car, so the car was useless.
Yeah.
But all I was thinking about is I've got a holiday coming up. And what am I going to do? Like, it means I'm going to have to cancel the holiday. My son's first trip, I'm going away with the family. And
Oh.
my son was all excited, and same my stepdaughter excited. And I had to change my state. And what I did is uh, I looked at ways on how to, I knew my upper body was strength was good.
Yes.
Okay. So I focused on the things that I could do.
Okay.
So I did that. All right, I can still get around. Yeah, I'm going to be hopping around on one leg. So, they're the things that you need to start doing. Same when I did when you look at when I got my second injury, I knew that I was going to be out for a period of time. And many of us, that when we get injured, we don't think about we're not going to be moving that much. And what happens when you don't move that much?
You get lazier, I suppose. Movement gives you more energy, and if you don't move, then you become more tired and you become weaker.
Yeah, and what happens with the eating patterns?
You overeat because you're bored. So you fill in the time. You comfort eating.
Okay, so that's a great way to think about start addressing, start eating lower calorie foods.
Okay.
Okay, you can, you may be in a bad state in the sense that you can't move, but I'm saying is that you're going to be even a worse state if you can't move, and then you look in the mirror at yourself when you put 2 pounds on, or go up in 4 kg.
Mm.
To try and keep your state in a good state, then look at reducing your calories. Another thing that I looked at was what can I do regarding movement? So I could do press ups, I could do sit ups. They're the things that still worked.
Mhm.
So I looked at doing things like that, doing press ups, doing sit ups. And in that way, I was still able not to put that much weight on.
Mm. Or to lose the momentum of being active, I suppose, or to feel sense of hopelessness because you can't do anything. You can have that feeling of hopelessness, but if you're doing something, then you're kind of alleviating that, really, isn't it? So I mean, that's excellent. I mean, you spoke about acceptance, and that reminded me of the work of Katie Bryan, which is about loving what is. And it's about, sometimes we think about problems and they can become very overwhelming. And sometimes it's overwhelming because we're thinking about things that we can't change or we can't do anything about. And then you said you got those ifs and the buts and all that kind of stuff, which causes more stress and problems. Whereas if we start to look at, well, this is a situation, it is because it is, this is what it is. And so you start to accept that, it relieves some of the pressure, and you realize that, there are limitations, and that's just the limitations of life, but you can find the positive within that liberation, in those limitations. It could merely be that you're having a bit of a break, or you're having that sit down time, or you can read the books that you never got around to reading. There could always be some kind of positive with that negative situation, isn't it? Yeah.
I think a lot of the time we need to work on the acceptance of where we're at.
Yeah.
It's perfect. And I meet a lot of people that they want the perfect life, they want the perfect body, they want the perfect relationship. You're just setting yourself up for failure because you know what? Nothing's perfect.
Yeah.
So maybe if you just, change the way you're thinking and say, right, whatever comes my way, I'll just accept it and then I'll deal with it on whichever way that I want to.
Yeah.
And just keep on refining the process.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's very interesting when we talk about people looking for perfection, and I suppose, yes, it can be very subjective, because what somebody sees as perfection, somebody else might think that's grotesque. So, it is a bit subjective, but also I think we live in the world today where people are using surgery and other extreme measures in order to achieve what society has told you is perfection. And we've seen, or on my observation, where people have just gone too far. So like they've changed their nose or they've changed their mouths, and now their face is out of sync with the rest of their face, and so they've got to change something else. Now they're putting cheekbones in, or now they don't like another part of their body, and it can be quite an extreme kind of trauma that you're putting on your body and on your psychology if you don't accept you for where you're at and realize that we are all uniquely made and come with their own sense of beauty. Do you know what I mean? That doesn't have to be manufactured or no. Yeah. So I think there's a difference between that cosmetic looking thing and that health looking thing, and maybe to focus on health.
The thing about it is, even though that even though that people have had surgery and stuff like that, and especially the ones that you can actually see, I'll be honest with you, I do see it as that, you know what, there's something that you're unhappy with.
Yeah.
In your life, there's something that you're truly unhappy with, and you're using the surgery to, frown on what it is that you're unhappy with. Happiness comes from inside. It's about what you do rather than what you look like. It's your actions, emotions.
Definitely. I definitely agree with that. I think so. I think we've seen it in situations where you've had celebrities who have had everything and then they've been deeply depressed and suicidal depression. You think, well, why that person's got the whole world? And I think it's about looking at what is true happiness and what is truly important and prioritizing. So maybe the prioritizing isn't about going on that holiday. The prioritizing was that you want to spend time with your family. Do you know what I mean? And that can happen no matter where you are. So sometimes it's just like reframing the situations, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. It's a lot of mindset that you really got to work on training your mind, and that's one thing I've taken into like the last 2 years. I may have had the physique that I wanted, and but deep down was like truly happy. But going back and revisiting some of the things that have gone wrong in your life and understanding why it went wrong, and just coming to terms with it, it's a big change, because there's a big psychological thing after when you get injured that you do feel very vulnerable. And I went for a stage of feeling very vulnerable, even though I looked in a certain way. And it was due to the fact that, I'm a socialized person. Me socializing went down the pan. Like, I didn't want to go out, because why didn't I want to go out? Because I had one leg. I didn't want anybody bumping into me. So that cycle of me going out and connecting with people, which I really enjoy, stopped. Yeah, and it took me a while to rebuild it. And second time when it happened again to me, then it happened to me. Then what else happened? So it happened 2019. I think it was 2019 or 2018. It happened. And the surgeon who was dealing with me, it happened April. So you did one surgery. I had two injuries. You did one surgery in April, no, in August, not April, in fact. And then you did the second surgery at the end of the year in September. So I was recovering from the first one, started to walk, get my balance, and and then next minute it's like, oh, we got to call you back in for another surgery.
Wow. Okay. So that's a lot of stress, especially on somebody who's a physical activity is part of your job spec, really, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? So that's a double blow there.
Yeah. And then we all had COVID. Think about what COVID did to a lot of people. So anybody that's going through injury and can't walk, they're going through, hopefully everyone will be able to relate how you felt during COVID, but they're going through the same thing. I'll be honest, COVID wasn't that bad for me, because I was like, hey, I've been here before. The only difference is everybody else is joining me.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely. And then you say that it's that isolation, and I suppose if we are community people, we like to have that social contact. And if you have got an ailment or you've got an injury, then that isolation and can be a big factor. It can, because then it's going to affect your mood. And I think if you're low in your mood, that also affects your healing. So it has a knock-on effect as well, doesn't it?
Yeah. And this is the thing, like people who get themselves injured, they may seem like they're okay, but deep down they're not. And deep down they can be really feeling it bad inside, and they'll go through mood swings. I wasn't the most pleasant person at times. Sometimes I would, do you know what I mean? And it's the frustration that I can't move. The frustration you can't move, you have to ask, you have to depend on people. And what I mean is that, if you want something, then you've got to ask somebody to do it. And they can't do it. You may want it now, but they're not willing to do it now.
Yeah.
You just got to sit there in the chair and accept it.
So it's that frustration of losing your independence in essence, isn't it? And being dependent on somebody else. And then I suppose they can view you as a pain because you're needy, and then you feel vulnerable because you would just normally just got up and gone and done that. You wouldn't have to ask. Do you know what I mean? It's instant. And now you're begging somebody for help. Do you know what I mean? It hits your ego, to your manhood, that kind of frustration on that basis as well, isn't it? So it's, yeah.
See, that's a great way if you want to get motivated. Just sit in the chair, okay, and ask your family to do things, and then they'll do it on their terms. And then, you know, there's your motivation. You'd be like, you know what? Probably hungry. And you sit in that chair and you ask them, you know, please, can somebody go make me some food? And then you keep on waiting while they're going around doing their own things.
Yeah,
You still want to get to the gym and you still want to take care of yourself. You'd be like, not me.
it's true. I can't. My children are lovely, but I could imagine that's maybe for a day they might be happy to do it, but anything longer than that, there's going to be some moaning going on, or you know, I don't think they'd be very happy to disturb their lives and what they're doing to have to take care of me. That could be I think that could be a
But the
stressful
thing,
thing, really.
but the thing about it is, why would you want that as well? Why
Mm,
would you want to disrupt their own lives, of their self-development, their personal growth?
mm,
For what?
mm,
Your own. It's different when somebody's like, it's happened off the cuff,
mm.
but when you've self done it to yourself,
Yes.
and then you're like, then expectations, we always talk about expecting,
Yeah.
but you should be no expectance, because you know what? You're only expecting disappointment when somebody doesn't achieve or do what you ask them to do.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
if you want to cause pain to your life, just run around and expect that everyone else is going to do something for you. And
Yeah.
then when they don't,
Mm. I suppose I suppose there's different kind of health issues, and the majority of health issues outside of accidents, I think is the top 15 killers, 14 of them can be corrected just by our diet alone. You know, so sometimes we're actually causing injury to ourselves, not right here, right now, but in the future by the choices that we're making now. So some of those health traumas can be avoided. But I suppose if you do get to the point where you have got that health trauma, in the same way that you acquired it, you can do the reverse and start to making steps to heal and to repair that trauma, isn't it? And you said it's just maybe accepting, as you said, you got that trauma, and then start to say, what can I do to make the difference and make those small changes? Yeah. But I liked your when you said about looking at, you didn't say stop eating. What you said was change the calorie density of the things that you're eating. And I think that can sometimes be a good step for us to just to explore and to study the food types that we are eating towards health. Can you talk a bit more about the types of food we eat?
just like having more natural foods. So, and what I mean is, like, if an apple's an apple, a pear's a pear, you know, keeping it to basics of that, you know, broccoli's broccoli, you know, you're not mixing the foods with like processed foods,
Mm,
because we don't know what's put with what. You can mix your foods in the sense, all right, you know what? I'm having chicken, I'm having broccoli, I'm having peppers, I'm having string beans.
mm,
Do you see what I'm saying? We can do a McDonald's mix up, like in that, with potatoes, there's carbs, there's fats, there's protein.
mm,
It's okay to do that, but when we're going, right, you know what, we're going to mix it with something from the shelf, okay? Then there's always going to be a problem. If you're not thinking ahead, okay, thinking ahead of what you're eating before, like you should know when you wake up, what breakfast you're going to have. You should have an idea on what lunch you're going to be having, what dinner you're going to be having,
mm.
what snacks are you going to be having. But in today's modern society, the problem is we don't make time enough for ourselves.
Yes.
And in the time that we don't make time for ourselves, we make irrational decisions, we get hungry. And
Mm.
then the first thing we see, which is crisp, a cake, we
It's
just
going
go
to
for
be calorie dense, isn't it? It's going to be calorie dense because you're hungry. So then you're going to want that calorie dense because your body's craving for something, for that energy, isn't it? So that
yeah,
so you're going to make unwise decisions in that state. And if in a hungry state, you make unwise. No, in a hungry state, I'm saying unwise decisions, but it's actually quite natural for your body to turn around and say, you need high energy now, and this is going to give you quick energy because it's part of survival. Do you know what I mean? But that's because you've got to to a state where you go into survival state and not thriving state. So I fully appreciate it can be how important it would be to make those plans so you don't make those irrational decisions because you're never get the point where you're really, really hungry.
Yeah.
Isn't
And you
it?
can go around and make sensible decisions.
Yeah. Yeah.
No. Like how long does it take to make a smoothie?
Oh, quick, less than 5 minutes. I've already got stuff prepped in my freezer already, so I just put it inside my blender. I've got a Vitamix, so it's like bang, blends anything. Do you know what I mean? Less than 5 minutes, I can make a smoothie.
Technology is making everything so much easier, and we still having problems in doing. We still want to make it easier,
But then
and
if you're extra hungry, then you might not want that smoothie. Do you know what I mean? Because you've gone past that state of, yeah.
thank you, and thank you for sharing that. And hopefully, I'll be able to help you with that. The smoothie is just something to settle you.
Mm, mm,
Those things that you're doing quick is only there to settle you before you have the main meal.
mm,
Have
mm.
to start.
Think of
But
it as a starter, yeah. Mm.
yeah, no, what we want to do, we want everything, the main course, boom. Yesterday, it was probably the first time I've ever ordered from Uber Eats.
Okay.
I've never sat in the house and somebody had to show me to do it.
How to do it, yeah. Yeah.
One of my clients, we were doing a course, and he was like, Mike, he's like, what do you want to eat? And I said, like, I'll pay for it. And I
Mm.
was like, how do we do it? Like, I got the app, and he's like, you certainly don't order out food. And I was like, no, I don't. Like the food that I do is like I actually cook it, or my wife cooks it.
Yes. And I think it's going back to nature. I always say that when people are unwell, physically unwell, majority of the times I think about you've moved too far away from nature, and having the processed foods, the takeout foods, high fat, high sugar, high salt, that's moving away, and we're becoming very Americanized, where people are running out of time, as you said, and it's quicker to grab a pizza, to grab a Chinese, to go in the apps and to order food, as opposed to making a nutritious meal where you're in control of the ingredients. So I think it's a bad habits that's developing. And like you, I don't have the app. My children do, but I don't have the app. And sometimes I think we can, if we take away those things, delete the app, for example, and force yourself to have those things there, then you'll cook. Do you know what I mean? If you've got the food in your house, then you'll cook. If you haven't got the food in the house, you'll be more tempted to go and eat outside. So that preparation is really important.
Just like with anything in life, these skills are very transferable from looking after yourself, having a great physique, great body, having great fitness. It's transferable into business, into your own personal life, into your relationship. All the skills are transferable. That's why you see all successful athletes are successful in business and
Yeah.
successful in other parts of their life.
Yes, definitely. And that's what you said, you got that knock-on effect. So it's about, okay, so yes, we can beforehand think about preventing trauma by looking at our health and what we're doing generally. We accept that in life you might have events which you can't have control over, like stepping backwards and hurting yourself. So there's events, but even if those events do happen, you still have some control that you can do, which is about accepting, locking down what you can do, making changes to your lifestyle to accommodate your new situation so that you can go positive and put forward in a positive way, in essence. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Environment is another thing, is key. I can't state how important environment is.
What do you mean by that?
Environment, like if you hang around with the wrong people, guess what you do?
Yeah.
Yeah. You hang around with people that are get up and go people, what do you become?
Yeah. You are the company you keep, in essence, isn't it, really? So,
Yeah. And probably we can get into another conversation on how you manage to have a positive environment around you when everyone else is totally different from you. That's probably another great conversation, because I do find that happens a lot in life, especially even your partners.
yeah. That can be, I think that's very interesting because, you know, you can have a situation where you could be wanting to start a health journey, but you're around people who are doing that exact opposite, and it's finding the techniques to make that change, really, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a talk in its own right.
yeah. Personal development is personal and it's personal to everybody.
Wow.
So you gotta
Yeah.
find what is personal to you and what you want to achieve.
Yes, definitely.
And there is no thing about being selfish. I hear this thing a lot. And even I got sapped into it, but you're selfish. No, you're selfish to have have the energy that you want so you can give it to somebody else. But if you haven't got the energy, then what's going to happen to you?
Yeah.
You can't give anybody.
But I suppose you mentioned before, it's an aspect of self-love though, isn't it? It's an aspect of if you love you, then and you're in a good place, then you can share that to other people. But if you're not in a good place, then you can't, isn't it? So it's about knowing yourself and loving yourself and doing things that's better for you so that you can be that good example, which is what you spoke out before as well.
That's what it is. But
Yeah.
like I said, that's another topic we can jump on as
Yeah.
well. Because I have loads of different topics from what my clients, tell me and what we work through together. So I can help them get through with, and get them to the next level. But these are the things that we've just got to overcome.
Definitely.
Changing your body, eating well, having an excellent lifestyle. It comes with a number of obstacles,
Mhm.
and each time you get past one, a new one comes up, and it's like you're
True.
constantly.
But if you've got the skills and those coping skills, then each obstacle becomes easier because you've got those skills to overcome them, isn't it? So it can be a positive thing. They can become challenges as opposed to obstacles.
Yeah. Think about it. What's your favorite computer game?
Who me?
What do you? What was your game? Did you ever used to play computer games?
Gosh, I'm old, you know. I think they fighting games or stuff like that.
Pac-Man. Did you ever used to play
Yeah, I
Pac-Man?
played Pac-Man. I played.
You know,
I'm not a nerd, but yeah. But
yeah. Okay.
fighting games, I think it was Street Fighter. I think I used to play with my son when he was younger.
All right. There it is. There it is. That's life is like Street Fighter.
Mm.
You got a new person to challenge you all the time, but you challenge them in your mind.
Yes. And the more you do it, the better you get.
There it is.
So I like that. I like that. So wonderful. So, Mikey, if somebody wants to get hold of you, how do they get hold of you?
Yeah. You can find me on any social media network on the Body Shop. Body Shop's my company name. I'm trainer Mikey Spice. Not singing Mikey Spice, but
Yeah.
training Mikey Spice. And that's Body Shop. It's body and then SHARP, okay, at fitness.com. Okay, or for instance, Body Shop Transformation on Instagram.
Wonderful. And you do one-to-one personal training, you do group work, and you do online work as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Excellent.
I'm a transformation coach, not just a personal trainer. I transform people's lives, mind, body, and soul.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And thank you for sharing today. And as we've got a few topics that we might need to discuss, so I might have to call you in again if you have time, and we can talk about some of the topics that we haven't been able to talk about today. Yeah? Good.
Yeah,
Wonderful. Well, you take care and enjoy the rest of your day.
you too. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.